Welcome to Big Thursday, Week 6 edition. And this week we're going to film it on Saturday because our supposedly Thursday night football game got moved to Monday at 5 p.m. Chiefs Bills because of COVID-19. It's been a crazy week in the NFL. I feel like every day I wake up, I see another COVID test. So hopefully we can get through the week, but we got some really nice games this week. We got the Chiefs versus Bills, which we already discussed. Browns Steelers should be fun. Packers Saints, one of my favorite games of the week. And then, of course, Sunday Night Football, 49ers versus Rams. Can 49ers get back on track? We'll give you our take. We're going to do buy low on these teams. We did buy low, sell high on fantasy players last week. We're going to buy and sell on these football teams. We got 6 lined up for you, and then we're going to move in to some talk about the Chiefs and Bills, and then we'll move into our picks for this week. Last week, unfortunately for Jesse, I won because we basically had the same picks instead of the Colts versus Browns. But I think we got a much better pick selection. We got more pick variances this week because of all the low spreads. So we'll give that to you. We'll be right back. Big Thursday.
This could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.
Okay, welcome to the segment. We're going to buy and sell on these teams based on the media's perception of them right now and their records. So we're going to start with a very interesting team for me after they came off their very nice win against Kansas City. So everyone's on this team. They got a lot of weapons. They are a great offense, but their defense is not as good. We're going to start with the Las Vegas Raiders. Jesse, go.
Yeah, I think the reason why the Raiders are surprising so many teams is Derek Carr. Derek Carr is stepping into a quarterback where it's becoming harder and harder to talk bad about him. He's proving himself. I think Gruden is doing a great job with this team of putting them in the right – they have the right reputation as a Raiders team. They tackle hard. They run the ball hard with Josh Jacobs. I feel like the Raiders are the type of team that no matter what team they play, whether it's the Chiefs or any of those high-caliber teams, they have a chance against them just because of how hard they play, how well they're coached, and they have a quarterback that can really hold himself and play against the best.
They've had 2 big wins this year against the Chiefs and the Saints. That's great. But they've also struggled. So you've seen both sides. I think it's a very inconsistent team. No, they're not winning the division, but I do see them as a team that can maybe compete for a playoff spot. But they're right on their fringe right now because of how good that AFC is right now. But you look at Josh Jacobs running the football, as you said. Henry Ruggs stretching it downfield. You got Darren Waller. There's a lot of weapons on this offense, but I'm concerned about the defense. You got Crosby up front, but who else? I mean, this defense still has a ways to go, but you're talking about a great start for Las Vegas and that team. They look very good right now and a potential playoff team.
Next up, we have the Browns. Browns is really the type of team that we wanted last year. We saw all these pieces of their offense that we thought were all going to click. Didn't click last year, but it seems like they're getting something going this year. Buy or sell for you?
Great offensive line, great run game, even though Chubb is out. It's all going to come down to Baker Mayfield and how he continues to grow as a quarterback. Do I trust him? That's the question. This is a Super Bowl team with a really good quarterback. That's how good they're lined up. But their secondary and their quarterback are the concerns right now. Do I trust Baker Mayfield? I don't right now. Yes, he's 4-1. Yes, they beat the Colts. It's the Colts. It's Phillip Rivers. So let's relax. He didn't have a great second half. I think they're kind of like the Raiders for me. They're a fringe wild card team, but I'm not buying them as potentially competing with the Ravens or the Steelers right now.
Yeah, when I think of them, they're a high-powered offense, but if you compare it to other teams that have had success and have gone far in the playoffs without a consistent, very good quarterback, think of Jimmy Garoppolo. Think of those guys that they bring them teams far in the playoffs, but it's not really because of them. I don't think Baker can fall into that category, even though I think in terms of their abilities and level on the team is similar. I feel like with a high-powered offense like the Browns, you have to rely on your quarterback. You have to rely on Baker making plays. And so far, he's been able to do that, but not very consistently. So I would have to agree with you. I'm going to sell on this team because of they're already 4-1. But I do not trust Baker heading into the playoffs, even if I trust the weapons that are around him.
With that being said, we hate on him all we want. If he clicks like he did 2 weeks ago and against the Bengals, and he did in the first half against the Colts, this team is a really good football team.
Yeah.
really good football team. They're well coached. They finally got a coach. So this is not a knock on the Browns, how they started the year, but they've had a really good start. I just don't trust Baker, and we both don't do that. Okay, our next team. This is a team that is built, that just played the Browns last week. They're built very well defensively, but they got a very old quarterback that can't move and is a terrible player to me, and I think he washed up. Colts just ruined everything. If they had Andrew Luck, I don't know where they'd be. They'd be one of the best teams in competing with the Chiefs. But Indianapolis Colts, buy or sell for you?
I'm going to sell on them, not only because of Phillip Rivers. I do think that's a part of it. But I feel like a lot of people were high on this running game, especially with Jonathan Taylor coming in, and he hasn't been very efficient, especially with one of the best offensive lines. I don't know if it's the play calling or the time that they're calling these run plays and it's too predictable. And because Phillip Rivers isn't throwing the ball downfield, everyone knows they're going to run it with Jonathan Taylor. I just expected a lot better, especially out of their run game. So I'm going to sell to see it because I don't think they can withstand a playoff run of any sort with a subpar quarterback that can't move and a run game that should be a lot better.
They lost their left tackle last week, Constanzo. That's why he's out here facing Myles Garrett. They were going to lose that battle anyway. So I think once he comes back, I think this run game improves. Jonathan Taylor's a very good running back. They'll figure out how to run the football as the year goes on. For me, it's all about the receiving core with Phillip Rivers. He's got T.Y. Hilton and who else? Who else? So this team, their defense is good enough to make the playoffs, and I think they can compete and play with the Titans a little bit. But Phillip Rivers just hurts this football team. I don't see any path to a run or anything past the divisional.
Next up, the Chicago Bears. Surprise for many in terms of their record right now. What are your thoughts?
I've said this I don't trust Nick Foles. I don't trust this offense. I don't trust the running game. Yes, A-Rob is good, but he's had some issues. So they're 4-1, but I'm off.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you, but I think Allen Robinson deserves so much more credit and a better team. I feel like Allen Robinson is 100% one of the best receivers in the league and doesn't get the credit for it. I think defensive guys haven't really been able to figure him out on the sideline. Everyone knows that Allen Robinson is the best receiver on that field, so I don't think Allen Robinson can do what he holds out to do because of Nick Foles and his lack of ability. So I have to agree with you. And David Montgomery in that running game, he's not blowing out for any big plays. He's just doing what he has to do, catching some balls out of backfield. Yeah, but he's not doing anything crazy. And with a team that doesn't have a star quarterback, they need a good running game, and they just don't have that.
They go right now, just the Bears. They go at Carolina, which is I don't know who's going to win that game. It's a flip a coin game. At L.A. On primetime, and they go home versus the Saints, at Tennessee versus Minnesota. This is a very tough 4 games coming up. Excuse me, their byes week 11, but a very tough couple games. So I think we'll learn about the Chicago team more as they face these tougher teams, but they're not competing with Green Bay in the division. They don't have the offense for that. I think it's time for them to really, if they had a quarterback, this team would be a much more interesting team. But yeah, we'll see what happens over the next couple games, but I'm off them.
Yeah.
So next, we got the Carolina Panthers who faced the Chicago Bears. I've been on Teddy Bridgewater all year, if you look at my Twitter. But I love Teddy V. But Jesse,
yeah.
Go.
You know, first I have to point out Mike Davis. He's a guy that no one was that high on when Christian McCaffrey went out. Clearly it hasn't made a huge difference for the Panthers. I can't imagine when McCaffrey comes back. I'm assuming this team's going to be slightly better, but who knows with how good he's been running. And I hate to say it as a Jets fan, but Robbie Anderson is emerging as the number 1 receiver on that team. He's stretching it downfield. He isn't just the guy that catches 50-yard passes. He's getting 7-8 catches a game. That's a number 1 receiver in my mind. And then you just throw in DJ Moore, who is another number 1 receiver caliber guy, and Teddy Bridgewater, who's looking like a good quarterback too. This team is a lot more complete than people thought when coming in. I'm buying on this team for sure.
I'll buy on them for the future. I don't think they're competing this year. They maybe can get a wild card, But I love Teddy B. I think he should be the quarterback. This defense will grow, but Kawan Short's out for the year. I think that's a huge loss. They're going to struggle on defense. They're struggling against the run game. They've been good against the pass. I don't think that holds up, though, once they get to the tougher part of the schedule. But, yeah, they can go 4-2 this week, and the media can be even higher on them. They're going to be Carolina. Teddy B and Matt Rule are a good quarterback and a good coach combination. That's all you need in this league. I mean, you look at the interesting – dynamics of all these quarterback coach tandems, and they've got so much talent. It's all about the quarterback and it's all about the coach. I mean, you look at Dallas, they have the most talented team in the world. And they have Dak Prescott, or no, it sucks, but no Dak, but Dak and Mike McCarthy. Before that, they're still not beating anyone. Baker Mayfield getting the coach, Stefanski, they look so much better. You need the quarterback and you need the coach, and I think this tandem will work. I really do. I think it will work, and I think they could be the future of this division. You look at the Saints, they're going to fall off. The Bucs are with Tom Brady. But I see this Carolina team is really coming on down the stretch. Maybe they win the last 4 games this year, and they really compete. But I like what they're doing there in Carolina. What's the Giants got, Matt Rule?
And I can't imagine what the Jets are feeling after you talk about that with their coaching situation.
Exactly.
But, yeah. But the last team we're talking about is a very interesting one, and that's the Ravens. What are your thoughts on them?
So, the Baltimore Ravens, if you look at my Instagram posts, I said this earlier in the week. They're going to win this week, but this team is banged up, right? You got Campbell, these two corners that are banged up. Lamar's banged up. I don't know. The perception going in was this was a 16-0 potential team. They got blown out by Kansas City. They got 2 wins against the Bengals and the Redskins, not the Redskins, Washington football team, but they didn't look like a typical Lamar throwing 2 picks in both those games. They just 19 for 37. They didn't look as good. The eye test for me is just like they're gonna blow out the bad teams. But I think I think Pittsburgh's gonna be a very tough matchup for them. I think Pittsburgh can win this division, and Baltimore, yes, they've got Lamar and they've got the most explosive, but Pittsburgh matches up really well against them. I don't trust Lamar down points. I trust Big Ben in bigger situations. So I'm going to say that Baltimore does not win their division this year.
Wow. Yeah. I'm really torn on this one because I do agree with you. I feel like the Ravens were built on getting up early and keeping a lead. That's like how they were built, with Lamar running the ball and the read option. Like, if you're losing against the Ravens, it's really hard to come back.
I totally agree.
But when they're down, Ravens are not built to come back. Like, you look at the team, Lamar doesn't throw it more than 30 yards unless someone's wide open. You know, he's not fitting it in tight situations. There's no like big play action to like Hollywood Brown that I'm really seeing out of this team that's really making a difference. Okay. I'm just seeing like Lamar doing these like Lamar things, which is incredible, and he deserved to get MVP last year. But the Ravens were really good last year, especially their defense, and that's why Lamar had so much success. I agree with you. I do think they're going to win the division, though. I do think they're going to figure it out. They're going to change the way that the playbook is run for how the team is looking. They're going to have to throw the ball downfield more. They're going to have to make some bigger, long yardage plays. So I do think they're going to win the division, but no, they're nowhere close to the Chiefs, the Packers. I think the Packers are going to be really good this year. Seahawks, I think they're a tier down from them right now.
After their bye after the Eagles bye versus Pittsburgh, which is a big game, good run defense. At Indianapolis, great run defense. At New England, great run defense. Tennessee, great run defense. Pittsburgh, again, great run defense. That's November for you.
Yeah, wow.
You're gonna see a lot.
Yeah.
I think they're banged up right now, and I don't know. This is one of my like. It's a gut pick.
I mean, you could pick them losing all of those games.
You could.
You know? Like, you could have an argument for them losing all of those games, and that would be a storyline.
I don't know. We'll see, but I just not a. Yes, they're a tier down, but I think Pittsburgh. You look at these receivers that they got. Big Ben looks healthy. Connor run and these 3 backs that you got. Snell, like Connor's not. I'm not high at Connor at all, but they got McFarland and Benny Snell running the ball. And they're gonna. Yes, their yards per play is not as high as we want, but their defense against the run is unbelievable. They had one 75-yard run Sanders had 175-yard run, and that's all he had. Yes, their pass defense struggles, but Lamar's not taking advantage of that. And you got Mika Fitzpatrick. You can throw on Mark Andrews. So I think Pittsburgh matches up so well. I think Pittsburgh will beat the bad teams too. And I just like them to win the division. I don't know. Gut feeling. We'll see what happens. It's a weird year.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back with some talk about the Chiefs versus Bills. Okay, so we're back. We're going to break down our supposedly Thursday night football game. Chiefs versus Bills, one of my favorite matchups of the week. You got Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Even though the Bills are coming off, these both teams are coming off a loss after they look like the two best teams in the AFC at one point, you can argue. So let's start with the Chiefs. The big news of the week. They get another weapon. Le'Veon Bell joining this team. You got Elaire and Bell in the backfield. He can be a wide receiver. It's ridiculous how much talent they have. So what does he do for this offense in specifically? What are you looking for him to really add?
Yeah, well, it already did come out that he's not going to be playing in this game against the Bills, but the
matter.
Chiefs don't really need Le'Veon Bell. It's not like this. They're filling like a hole of like they have Elaire, who's a very good running back and is going to get better. But in the future, I haven't seen Elaire do that much on the goal line. I feel like he isn't built as a goal line back within the 5-yard line. So I think Le'Veon Bell is going to get a lot of work there. And people say that he is one of the best pass catchers out of the backfield this game has ever seen. And who knows if he's still like that, but if he has any of that still left in the tank, Andy Reid is most definitely going to take advantage of that. They might have both running backs in the backfield. That's going to be really hard. I mean, yeah, it's going to be impossible for defenses to choose who to guard. It kind of seems unfair, but I guess Le'Veon Bell isn't looked at that highly because he was coached by Adam Gase and a Jets team that can't seem to figure any player out. So who knows? Le'Veon Bell might still have a full tank left and just couldn't show it in New York.
It's just like you have like layers of a cake that are ridiculous, and it's just adding the cherry on top.
Yeah.
He adds pass catching abilities out of the backfield that no one's seen before. He's patient. He'll add so much to this offense to me. I think he'll rejuvenate his career the way he'll look in this offense. He'll be like, oh, this is the Le'Veon Bell we saw in Pittsburgh.
I'm excited for it. It's
going to be awesome to
watch.
watch.
As a Jets fan, I'm excited to see Le'Veon Bell, see if he has anything left. That's what I was excited in New York, but I feel like there's no way if he doesn't perform in Kansas City, he's washed.
And I think another thing I wanted to add, a lot of people against the Chiefs like to play press man coverage because you put a safety over the top of Hill, put another safety to help with Kelsey and those linebacker. You can kind of match up with Kansas City a little bit. Like this is what you can do it for a half, like kind of what like the Chargers did, whatever, because they have good corners. But now you add Le'Veon Bell. He is the biggest mismatch out of the backfield. Yeah. Forever. You can line up as a receiver. He adds this passing game could become even more lethal because you can put Bell on a linebacker or a safety, and he'll beat him every time. You get him in one-on-one. It's just like Reed has like another toy. It's ridiculous. And I think he's going to add – look, he wasn't great in New York, but I saw against the Cardinals he did not look terrible. A lot of people say he looked bad. He did not look bad. I think he looked pretty good, and I love him in Kansas City.
And moving on to the other side of the football, I think one of the biggest storylines in this game is both high-power teams both coming from a loss. So they're both hungry for a win. They both need a win. Josh Allen didn't have the best game, especially in the first half, having those turnovers. How do you think the team can build around his turnover problem and Josh Allen specifically? How can he kind of switch gears in what he's doing right now?
I think something that's going to be very important is the addition and return of Zach Moss because they're not running the football really well right now. And Kansas City is not good against the run. That's the worst part of their game. So bringing back Zach Moss if he plays this week can be really interesting how they can run the ball a little bit, which can help Allen not carry everything on his back because Singletary is not a type of guy who looks like a 3-down bell cow back. I think he needs a Zach Moss, a power back, eat up some clock, eat up some yards, take the turnover pressure off of Josh Allen which I think will be huge. And they'll get back Tre'Davious White and all these guys. So I'm not reading too much into that Bill game. It was a very interesting, weird circumstance game. I think Allen will figure it out. He's been great all year, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, so we'll be right back with our picks for the week. Okay, so welcome back. And here is our pick segment. As I won last week going 9-4, Jesse was 8-5. So let's get it going. Hopefully I can get 2 straight. Jesse, take it away.
All right, first game, Panthers. Panthers, this is a tight spread against Chicago. 1.5, they're favored. Who do you have?
2 overachieving teams. You can look at Teddy Bridgewater and Matt Rule. I trust them over Matt Nagy and Nick Foles right now. So I'm taking the Panthers. I've been back and forth on this game all week, but I like the Panthers to take advantage. Teddy B, Matt Rule, 23-20, Carolina.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to take the Panthers in this one, 30-20. I just trust the Panthers coaching more than the Bears, and I think that'll be the difference.
Joey B on the road after a tough game against Baltimore. They couldn't hold up against that defensive line, and he faces an even tougher defensive line this week in Indianapolis. Spread is 8. Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts in this one. I think it's going to be a 2-touchdown win for them, 28-14. This is another team where once they get a lead, they're really good at keeping the lead with their run game and their offensive line, so I think they'll just do just that.
Costanzo should be back, so I like the Colts at home after a loss. They're a better team. They win. They win when they're up. So I like the Colts and their defensive line to really take over this game. I don't know about the spread. I'm kind of iffy on that, so I'm going to take the Colts 21-13. I don't trust Phillip Rivers to bet him over 8 points.
Next, Jaguars-Lions. This is, not the best teams, but it's an interesting matchup, and it's only a 3 spread. Who do you have?
Gene Minshew, all the hype in the world. They didn't play as bad as they looked against Houston, but Detroit off a bye, they're really desperate right now. I think they play for the coach this game, and I think they have success through the air. I mean, Matthew Stafford, Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones, they have some success. Lions win 30-17.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Lions in this one too. I think Matt Stafford's going to have a really good game. I think he's ready for a game like that, and I trust him more than Minshew. I think it's going to be a super close game, down to the last second. I give the Lions a 31-30 win over the Jaguars.
Next game, very interesting one. No Dan Quinn this week. You've seen the coaches. They get a little bit of a bump when they're gone. So now you got Dan Quinn and gone. So Matt Ryan and this Falcon team on the road against a Minnesota team that got robbed of beating Seattle last week. Jesse, the spread is 4. Who do you got?
I was back and forth this game exactly because of that. The Vikings were in the game against the Seahawks, so they might be a better team than their record shows, but I'm going to take the Falcons. I'm going to take the upset in this one. Julio is back. Hopefully that puts Matt Ryan in check. I think it's going to be a close one again, 28-24. Falcons get a much-needed win.
The Vikings are 1-4 right now. They feel like a 3-2 type of team. They're not as bad as it looks. I'm going to take the Vikings at home. I mean, yes, Dalvin Cook is out most likely, but Madison looked really good. Boone looked really good. So I'm not worried about this run game. And I think this passing attack, Jefferson, Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, they're going to take advantage all week against these young corners in Atlanta. Yes, Atlanta will get their points with Julio and Calvin Ridley, but I trust Mike Zimmer's defense over I don't even know who's coaching the defense in Atlanta. So I'm taking the Vikings 30-27.
Next, we got a divisional matchup between your New York Giants and the Washington football team. The Giants are favored by 3.
Don't even get me started on last week because that was a holding call, screaming my hat off. But I think the Giants get their first win of the year. Washington football team. Yes, they have a great defensive line, but Daniel Jones should be able to use his legs. Chase Young should have 5 fumbles probably and return touchdowns. But the Giants, I think they're a more complete team. They'll get the pass game going a little bit. It's a low-scoring game. But I'm going to trust this Giant defense to keep the Washington football team in check and Daniel Jones to get his first win. I would take the Washington football team, but I'm believing in my Giants. 22-16 New York. We got our first win. Let's go, baby.
As much as I want New York to get their first win, I'm going to go with Washington this one.
Good pick.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a close game. I have a 21-20 win for Washington. I just can't trust the Giants yet. They haven't proved it. Washington has proved it a little more than the Giants right now. I think they're a more complete team than the Giants. Washington gets the win.
Why is the spread 3? The Washington should be favored.
Yeah.
But I'm still taking the Giants. It must be for a reason. I trust Vegas. Give me a win. All right, next game. We got the Ravens-Eagles, a late jump in this spread. It was at like 7. Now it's up to 9.5. We talked about the Ravens extensively in our buy low, sell high teams. So, Jesse, who do you like?
Yeah, I think this spread is better than it was before. As we said, Ravens will beat the bad teams. Eagles are a bad team. I'm going to take the Ravens in this one. They're going to get an easy win, 24-13. Lamar's not going to have to do too much.
Look, they scored a little bit, this Eagles team last week. So I think they can keep it within the 9.5 spread. I think that's way too high, especially with the injuries right now with this defense. So I'm gonna have the Ravens win, but it's gonna be closer than people think. Ravens win 27-20. That covers the 9.5 spread.
Next game, we have the Browns and the Steelers. Another good game, another divisional game. Steelers are favored by 3.5.
Very close game. Very close. I mean, you got a lot of these teams. These are 2 4-1 teams that have got a lot of talent. So I'm going to take the Steelers at home because I trust Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin more than Baker Mayfield. So Steelers win close, 26-24.
I think this is the type of game where Browns, I don't know why. I think the Browns are winning the entire game, and then Steelers and Big Ben in the fourth quarter come back and take it. I'm going to take the Steelers in this one, 24-20. I saw a stat. I'm not exactly sure what the stat said, but the overall arching thing was Steelers' defense on third down was really bad. And I think that's something that they're going to have to focus on, especially against Baker Mayfield and a good offense that they have there. Steelers, great defense, especially in the run game. They got to get to third and longs against the Browns and prevent more and more first downs for them.
Key matchup in this game, which I forgot to mention. Steelers' defensive line versus that Browns' offensive line in the run game. Can they generate a run game? If they can and hold the ball a little bit, they've got a shot to win because I think the Steelers are they're a little bit – I think they need to lose a game for them to be – like I'm confident about them winning division, but I think they need to lose the game. So the Browns can 100% win the game. I mean, it's going to be a very good game if they can run the football, but I just trust Big Ben at home. Next, we got the Texans-Titans. Titans have a huge win, but the spread's only 3.5 to a 1-4 Texan team.
Yeah, I get why it's this little of a spread. Part of it, I think, is just the Texans and the name of that team. I feel like the Texans still in people's heads are a much better team than they really are. But the Titans surprised me last week, and I'm gonna ride the way with them. I'm gonna say the Titans get the win, 20-17. Titans are looking good, full overarching good team.
I don't know why I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
I can't do it. I can't take them. They don't have a defense. I was going to do it. I just can't. Titans
do it.
20.
Do it.
Nope. Titans win 27-24. If the Texans had like some sort of defense, I would be a little bit more confident.
They got J.J. Watt.
No. Titans win 27-24. Too much talent.
All right. Next, we have the Broncos and the Patriots. This is a 9-point spread.
All right. I think we both have the Pats in this one, so we'll just move on quick. Cam Newton comes back. They start to win this game.
Yeah, I have a 27-17. Patriots get the win.
Okay. Next, your Jets versus the Dolphins. Dolphins are favored by 9.
Gonna take the Dolphins. I have yet to pick the Jets on this show, and I don't think this is the right week to do so. I don't think I will have a week that I can do that. Especially Sam Darnold doesn't look like he's going to play. Don't have Le'Veon Bell, even though he didn't really make much of a difference. Dolphins get the win 30-14.
I think they cover this. I think Jets play their hearts out in this game, and Fitzmagic turns into Fitztragic. They don't get the upset, but they keep it within. Dolphins get a late touchdown. They win 21-14, but they show some fight.
All right. I mean, I feel like I'm always the pessimist with the Jets, even though I'm the fan. You always keep me in check a little bit, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they cover. Anyway, moving on. Packers, Bucks. It's a 1-point spread. This is a great game. Who do you have?
I've been back and forth on this game all week long. If this game was in a full capacity Tampa Bay Buccaneers stadium, I would take the Bucks. And I was going to take the Bucks. The spread is telling me take the Bucks. But Aaron Rodgers against a team that commits a lot of penalties. I don't trust Bruce Arians yet. I don't trust Tom Brady. I don't trust it yet. Yes,
You say I don't trust Tom Brady? You just said that.
No.
You just said
Tom
that.
Brady will get his points, 100%. But the Packers' defense is really good in the secondary, and Leonard Fournette is questionable. And on the other side, Packers, Aaron Rodgers, I think he picks apart getting them on the offsides. I think he just I don't know how you stop this team right now. Packers win in a very good game. Packers win 31-30.
Yeah, once again, I was back and forth on this game, but it's hard to root against Aaron Rodgers, especially right now. I think he's like the smartest quarterback in the league right now. I feel like he's outsmarting every defense right now, and he is on a higher level. I saw something that his mics cut out for an entire 2-minute drill, and he was calling all of his own plays. He's just on a different level. I'm riding the wave with him. They're going to win 33-28.
It's going to be a very good game.
Yeah.
Very good game.
Yeah.
The next, we got the Sunday night football. Rams, 49ers. Rams are favored by 3. 49ers. Can they bounce back?
No. I'm going to take the Rams. I think their offense has the ability to slice up the 49ers defense. Jared Goff is going to get the passes off quick. Not going to allow even this broken defensive line to get any pressure on him. I think the Rams win 27-24.
Again, I was going to pick the 49ers, but again, this 49er defense couldn't stop Ryan Fitzpatrick last week. What makes you think he can stop Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods? And again, if this was a full capacity game, maybe I would take the 49ers, but it's not. So I'm going to take the Rams here. I think it's a very close game. I got them winning 23-24. No, 23-20, sorry.
Next, we have our doubleheader Monday night game, starting with our Thursday night Flex Monday game, whatever you want to call it. Bills take on the Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 4.5.
If this was, again, full capacity, I'm taking the Bills. But Chiefs offense will pick apart this defense. And by the way, Tre'Davious White hurt. Tyreek Hill will have a good game. And on the other side, Chiefs' weakness up front is up front against the run game. Bills don't have that run game I can trust yet. I don't trust Josh Allen against Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking Mahomes 30-24 over the
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one too. I think that the Bills won't do enough to stay with Chiefs offense. These are two teams that rely on their offenses, and I think if you're comparing offenses, Chiefs have the better offense, better quarterback, better receiving core. I'm going to take the Chiefs 31-28.
All right, final game of the week, Monday Night Football. On ESPN, we got the Cardinals, Cowboys. No Dak Prescott. It's Andy Dalton this week. We got, spread is, just for clarification's sake, Cardinals by 1.
Yeah. I'm going to take, I guess it is an upset. I'm going to take the Cowboys. I think Andy Dalton is going to do enough. I think he's going to be 70% of what Dak Prescott is, which I think is more than enough for this high-powered offense to do what they're set out to do. I'm going to take the Cowboys 27-17.
I don't trust the Cards.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're favored on the road. Yes, I think it's an emotional game. Cowboys come out and say, we're going to win this for Dak. They're a better team, better offense. I think Andy Dalton, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, he'll be fine. He's got such a good offense. So I'm going to take the Cowboys close 34-31 in a shootout. So that was our picks for the week, a very interesting week. I think I was back and forth on a lot more this week than last week. So we'll see what happens. A lot of good games. Jesse, thank you for coming on. Week 6 edition of Big Thursday.